All right, well, welcome. Welcome to this miracles class, Introduction to Miracles. And this is the last class from the series that we use now to get informed about miracles, to come in through the introduction, to get the feel for it, and also to experience them, say, opening your mind to experience them, and to see that they are related to recognizing together with your brother your oneness in God, and seeing that that is useful for every step along the way, that you start to remember, like, oh, that's an opportunity. Yes, that's an opportunity to remember together with my brother and my oneness. And so that's what we have been looking at in the last couple of lessons too, and couple of classes. And so today there's the part Distortion of Miracle Impulses, part 2. And we use the section C in the Urtext of A Course in Miracles to take another look at that. But um, we touched some part of it in the last class, and another part will be exposed today, which is like you can go in any kind of direction here at this point, because there's still so many fields to be opened, so to speak, to say expand your awareness about, and to see how the fundamental mechanisms of the miracle, so to speak, how they are working. And so we're using parts of that today. We're going to dive deeper into the idea of what is the body, because the confusion with body and mind is pretty obvious when you look at ideas of sickness, when you look at ideas of distortion of miracle impulses. It is always body related. So that's why we take another look at that too. So we're going to the say the above 200 lessons. There's little sections about what is forgiveness, what is salvation, but also what is the body. And we will use parts of that too. And to make this complete, in terms of you don't want to miss out on the miracle principles. We use those. I love to read them to you. I love to tell more about it if that comes up for me to share with you. And that is so that's what I'm going to start with, because the miracle principles are so so useful for insight of, oh yeah, this is right thinking. Now yes, this is what I want. Yes, yes, yes. And so it confirms your path. It is real guidance on your path to enlightenment, to come to the completion of this, to come to the full recognition of your true nature. So that's why I love to use these, because they are lovable. They're so lovely to read and to take to heart, and to, yeah, you want to have them affect you. And they state the truth about you, like they point in the direction of truth. They confirm your true identification. They shift you into, so the miracles shift you into invisibility, away from the bodily level. And that's why the healing power is incredible, because that's where it occurs. It's like to let go of the body identification, of the body misidentification, and also the confusion about what is actually influencing what actually is healing. Then in that sense, is can the body be sick, or is the mind sick, or what is actually going on? So this is going to be given in this hour, and I'll try to express it all in that time. But it's a continuing expansion, to come to a deeper say experience of healing for yourself in this, and also to become more and more clear of the confusion that can be there in terms of body identification, spirit identification. Like how on earth, how on earth is this possible for you to stay right on track and to see, to have your miracle mindedness or your miracle awareness with you during your day? Because you don't want to miss out on this. You've seen it at work. You are attracted to it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here or listening to this. So that's why, yeah, pay attention. This is great. What's being offered is coming from the source. You know, it's coming from your source. It has everything to do with you. It has everything to do with you as an extension of the love that you are. And what it wants from you is not conflict. No, it will give you happiness, love, and happiness. You know, it's like that is what this is for. It is completely set for your joy, not for any other reason. So we will come across the disbelief or the confusion about this, or the not accepting this for yourself and all this and that, like your resistance to this, to accept this. And so some of the ideas will be really like quite confrontative, but at the same time necessary for you to hear, and to confirm after that, to see how actually you can think about it, and what do you have to lose in accepting that, what is real. You know, you don't have to sacrifice anything for that. That's being emphasized over and over and over again in this Course in Miracles, in what has been given in this class. And yeah, so that's why it's all for good, so to speak. This is only for the good. This is only for you to remember your totality, not anything else. So this is so great. That's why it's so liberating to come in touch with this. That's why it's so nice to take this to heart and see that you are, say, invited at least to allow changes to occur, of things that just fall away, that have no reason to be there anymore for you, and see that you can live freely without that, what is limiting you. Like there's nowhere a request to sacrifice or anything like that. No, it's always more extension, deeper love. But also your activity is needed. It is not that, okay, I'm not going to do that, it's just being undone and I don't have to do anything. No, we are in a process of, say, recognizing our miracle workerness, so to speak, or your miracle healing aspect of yourself, seeing that in your activity of giving this away is actually your receiving. So that is being, that's being shown to you along this path. It will be shown to you what to do, how to do it. And the fact that a certain situation occurs means that you can do it, but not have to do it by yourself. So you have great support in all your actions, but they need to be in action. You know, it needs to be an active part, whether it's actively letting go or actively asking for something, or, you know, and so there will be more in this, what I'm sharing with you, that has everything to do with that. So I'm really happy that you're here joining this class with me in the recognition of our brotherhood in this, yeah, miracles healing circle, that we come together like that. We come together as say a request for healing all together. You know, so we support one another in this, and we are there in whatever way we can. So let me start with reading some of the miracle principles that I would love to share with you today. Miracles are a form of healing. They supply a lack and are performed by those who have more for those who have less. This is on page 9, like T1B7, no, T1B8, sorry. Miracles are a form of healing. They supply a lack and are performed by those who have more for those who have less. Prayer is the medium of miracles. Prayer is the natural communication of the created with the creator. Prayer is the natural communication of the created with the creator. Through prayer, love is received, and through miracles, love is expressed. That's B12. So this is the fundamental principle, you know. Through prayer, love is received. You commune with your creator, and through miracles, love is expressed. So what is a miracle then? Miracles are thought creations. Thought can create lower order or higher order realities. This is the basic distinction between intellectualization and thinking. One creates the physical, the other creates the spiritual, and we believe in what we create. So miracles, in that sense, miracles is an opportunity to create the spiritual by thinking. You know, it's like here it says like there's a difference between intellectualization and thinking. Like thinking is thinking with your source, and there's no other way of thinking. Like we think sometimes that we have ideas about this and an opinion about that, but that actually is not thinking at all. So thinking is creating, is extension into, say, the spiritual order. And we believe in what we create. A miracle is a beginning and an ending. It thus abolishes time. It is always an affirmation of rebirth, which seemed to go back, but really goes forward. It undoes the past in the present and thus releases the future. Wow, see, there's so much in it. A miracle is a beginning and an ending. It thus abolishes time. It is always an affirmation of rebirth, which seemed to go back, but really go forward. It undoes the past in the present and thus releases the future. So it can be that you're in a situation where you actually, it seems like, oh my God, I've been here before. But now this time it comes up for your healing, and to be completely, say, collapsed as a problem in itself, and seeing that it shifts and that it changes and that you actually never have to do this again. Like you literally make a step into the future while you actually didn't even realize that. But some things just fall away just like that, and they seem to have to be doing with the past. But see, when they are collapse, so to speak, when they change, when they shift, you actually see that it really doesn't matter anymore when it took place or where it has to do with. Like that has to do with our idea of time, that there's a past and a future. But in the same time, you come more and more into the awareness that there's only one moment that is real about this, and that is the present moment. So you know this as a concept, but now it's really like, no, in fact, you can say this too. It's like all time is going on all the time. It is not that there's a past and a future. No, there's just a circulation of ideas that are, say, ready for healing. And when healing occurs, they're just gone. They change. Miracles attest to truth. They are convincing because they come from conviction. Without conviction, they deteriorate into magic, which is mindless and therefore destructive, or rather uncreative use of mind. This is quite a full one too. That's B14. Miracles attest to truth. They are convincing because they come from conviction. Like if you were not convicted, like if you weren't sure about this, that it's a possibility and that you have an option of using this, then it would not occur. And it just doesn't occur then anymore. That's the same as one of the miracle principles is when you don't experience them, something has gone wrong. Like you literally are in a different, identifying with a different level of awareness with your physical awareness, like with your 3D awareness. So when you suddenly let go of that and see that you're finding yourself in an, say, an awareness of where everything is possible and feeling that you're like in the middle of an inspiration literally, and that your world becomes lighter, then you see that miracles are really like, yeah, they are a real tool to extend to one another. Then it happens naturally. You don't even have to think about it in that sense. They happen naturally. So that is really a difference. A miracle is a service. That is the maximal service that one soul can render another. It is a way of loving your neighbor as yourself. The doer recognizes his own and his neighbor's inestimable value simultaneously. It is a way of loving your neighbor as yourself. The doer recognizes his own and his neighbor's inestimable, well, that's a difficult word, inestimable value simultaneously. We'll come back to that principle later because it is so useful to see your brother for who he is. You know, so I'll come back to that in the B section later on. Okay, here's another one that brings us into the ideas of body and miracles. A miracle reawakens the awareness that the spirit and not the body is the altar of truth. This is the recognition that leads to the healing power of the miracle. A miracle rearranges the order of perception and places the levels in their true perspective. This heals at all levels because all sickness comes from confusing the levels. We'll come back to that too later on. So this is, yeah, this is great for the class right now. This is great. Oh yes. So I'll start with this. We're going to skip now to the, say, chapter 8 of this to read a couple of paragraphs and see how well they blend in with what we just were talking about, what I was just sharing with you. So we go to chapter 8I, section I, and it is just so lovely. So bear with me, please. So this is on page 99. Healing is corrected perception. We once said that the Holy Spirit is the answer. He is the answer to everything because he knows what the answer to everything is. The ego does not know what a real question is, although it asks an endless number. But you can learn this as you learn to question the value of the ego and thus establish your ability to evaluate its questions. When the ego tempts you to sickness, do not ask the Holy Spirit to heal the body, for this would merely be to accept the ego's belief that the body is the proper aim for healing. Ask rather that the Holy Spirit teach you the right perception of the body, for perception alone can be distorted. I'll just continue with the next paragraph, but I will come back to this because it's really beautiful. Only perception can be sick because perception can be wrong. Wrong perception is distorted willing, which wants things to be as they are not. The reality of everything is totally harmless, because total harmlessness is the condition of its reality. It is also the condition of your awareness of its reality. You do not have to seek reality. It will seek you and find you when you meet its conditions. Its conditions are part of what it is. And this part only is up to you. The rest is of itself. You need do so little because it is so powerful that your little part will bring the whole to you. Accept then your little part and let the whole be yours. Wholeness heals because it is of the mind. Okay, so one more paragraph and then I'll come back to this. This is paragraph 5. Healing is release from the fear of waking and the substitution of the will to wake. The will to wake is the will to love, since all healing involves replacing fear with love. The Holy Spirit cannot distinguish among degrees of error. For if he taught that one form of sickness is more serious than another, he would be teaching that one error can be more real than another. But his function is to distinguish only between the false and the true, replacing the false with the true. So quite shocking can be that you suddenly realize, oh yes, only perception can be sick. Like I can think that something is wrong with my body, which is something that the ego wants you to believe. The ego wants you to believe that because then it has you, it has you in its little trap, because your body seems to be separate from everything. So that's the greatest thing for it to use. And so that's why there's so much confusion about that you don't even know, hey, how did this started? See, and it is not that you can figure this out just like that. Like, okay, now I know that my mind is my mind is say the cause of sickness, of my ideas about sickness. So you cannot just do that, because there, say in the development of your ideas about sickness, there's layer over layer of denial, so to speak, and you don't even know where to start with that. But it doesn't mean that healing cannot occur. So that is really great. So basically, in the last paragraph that we read, it is like, no, there's very little of you asked. Say, there's very little asked of you to do. It is just that you have to say, allow yourself to accept what this says, and see that that changes everything, and that you know that, say, Holy Spirit cannot see any of the distortions that you were perceiving a moment ago. So that means that it can change too by you handing it over to the one who knows and can heal that, just in fact just like that. And so that is, see, I'm reading this because it is an invitation to love. It is an invitation not to fear what it says also. No, it is an invitation for you to love, to release the fear and come into the experience of love, because that is what heals, that is what brings it all together. That is what wholeness is. So, and because I know that, like, these lessons are, especially when you seem to be part of like seem to have an illness, it would be something to attack yourself with if you don't really know what it says. And that's not what this is for. So this is really an invitation to love and nothing else. Let that be very sure. because that your love will tell you about yourself. So that is good to keep in mind, and good to allow that to touch you and place this in a proper perspective in that sense. So this is a part that I would love to share with you. That's why I bring that in. It's like a healing as corrected perception. So we keep that in mind. So it will all come together in the end. So we skip through the book now to lesson 92, 91. Something that you will recognize very well too, and maybe the lesson is very familiar to you too. This is page 329 in the book, like in the physical book. Miracles are seen in light. So I'm going to read the first 3 paragraphs because it is so amazing, and I said this before, but it's so amazing to see that how well this is one story, so to speak. This is just one and the same message translated into the thing that you can hear right now. And seeing that all through the book, there's no development. No, it always will teach you exactly the same. That's why it's so incredibly whole. Like it's coming from wholeness. That's obvious when you start reading this and skim through the book. Miracles are seen in light. It is important to remember that miracles and vision necessarily go together. This needs repeating and frequent repeating. It is a central idea in your new thought system and the perception which it produces. The miracle is always there. Its presence is not caused by your vision. Its absence is not the result of your failure to see. It is only your awareness of miracles that is affected. You will see it in the light. You will not see it in the dark. You will see it in the light. You will not see it in the dark. That's why we ended. So in paragraph 2, to you then, light is crucial. While you remain in darkness, the miracle remains unseen. Thus, you are convinced it is not there. This follows from the premises from which the darkness comes. Denial of light leads to the failure to perceive it. Failure to perceive light is to perceive darkness. The light is useless to you then, even though it is there. You cannot use it because its presence is unknown to you. And the seeming reality of the darkness makes the idea of light meaningless. To be told that what you do not see is not there sounds like insanity. It is very difficult to become convinced that it is insanity not to see what is there and to see what is not there instead. You do not doubt that the body's eyes can see. You do not doubt the images they show you are reality. Your faith lies in the darkness, not the light. How can this be reversed? For you, it is impossible, but you are not alone in this. See, this is what I shared in the beginning too. It's like if you believe literally in your physical reality, so to speak, in your human frame of reference, if you take that as your reality, even a little bit, like there's no real exception to that at all, you're actually not seeing something else. You're actually not able to come into a miracle mindedness because you're convinced that this is your reality. In that reality, there's no such thing as a miracle. So and that is really interesting for me to see that here it actually says what to do. Like to come into an awareness of light, to come into, okay, I'm going to let go of my ideas about what this place is and what I need my perception for, and come into the recognition of my true identity by sitting still, by meditating, by reading some lines, and suddenly feel that your awareness shifts and becomes more light and filled with light, or becomes more joyous, is then where you can see that shifts everything. Suddenly you are able to extend love to your brother while you were just like locked up in yourself a moment ago. And that is so amazing. Like, it doesn't need much to shift into say the miracle mindedness for you. It seems that you can be stuck in your humanhood for a moment, but then suddenly something can take you out of it. And this something can very well be also your brother. It can be someone who you just give a call and say like, oh, I really have to express this just to release it. And in order for me to come to my recognition of my true identity, you know, that's where you have each other for. That's where you can use your brother for, to remember that. And I see that is really the power of coming together and sharing with one another. Oh my God, look at this. I'm so stuck in this. I really don't know how to get out of it. And before you know it, you forget about your concern and see that you shift into miracle mindedness, and see that the sky suddenly is blue instead of completely in deep gray. So that is, see, that is the love of your brother is really what you need in this, in the recognition of your true source, of your common source, um, to celebrate that together with your brother, whether you play a song and dance on it, or whether you just suddenly can, yeah, can laugh again just out of the blue, you know. But there's then suddenly space in your mind. You're not stuck in your own ideas anymore, and that is so great, and that is very helpful, and speeds up this process of miracle mindedness, and having miracles as your, say, yeah, as your work. Literally, you are going to dedicate yourself to that in this awakening path. You dedicate yourself to miracle mindedness and performing miracles, because it's the most loving thing you can do for your brother, while you find yourself in a place of so duality, or yeah, seeing that that there's sickness or lack of limitation. So, and then your role, your expression of yourself in that is very important, and completely being used. Like, you only have to be yourself for that to happen. It will express itself through you, and that is why it works so well. And that's why you need that, to bring that light into your dream, and see that that changes the fabric of your dream, that everything becomes lighter, that suddenly somebody smiles at you, suddenly you feel like, oh my God, I'm so happy to be able to express this joy to whoever I meet. Or yeah, I'm not so self-concerned anymore. I can forget about myself in this whole process too. What a relief. So anyway, that's in the first three of those. It is the first three paragraphs of the Miracles Are Seen in Light is a beautiful way to come into the idea of, yes, it's indeed in darkness. I cannot see a miracle. It's good when I feel that for myself, that I stop doing what I'm doing, because there's no need for me to stay in darkness. No, it feels much more natural to be in a miracle minded state and give myself away to whoever wants to receive it, and extend. Yeah, I love to extend that to my brother. Okay, so, and then we have, oh yeah, I had what is the ego? I thought I would read what is the body, but it's what is the ego? Since we're continuing on the insights about miracle impulse distortions. So this is on page 412, and it is after lesson 330. I will not hurt myself again today. So it's on page 412. It's the workbook, the 12th section. What is the ego? Okay, here it is. The ego is idolatry, the sign of a limited and separated self, born in a body, doomed to suffer and to end its life in death. It is the will that sees the will of God as enemy and takes a form in which it is denied. The ego is the proof, quote unquote, that strength is weak and love is fearful, life is really death, and what opposes God alone is true. The ego is insane. In fear, it stands beyond the everywhere, apart from all, in separation from the infinite. In its insanity, it thinks it has become a victor over God himself. And in its terrible autonomy, it sees, quote unquote, the will of God has been destroyed. It dreams of punishment and trembles at the figures in its dreams, its enemies who seek to murder it before it can ensure its safety by attacking them. The Son of God is egoless. What can he know of madness and the death of God when he abides in him? What can he know of sorrow and of suffering when he lives in eternal joy? What can he know of fear and punishment and of sin and guilt and hatred and attack when all there is surrounding him is everlasting peace, forever conflict-free and undisturbed, in the deepest silence and tranquility? Well, okay, so I'll leave this for now. And I go back to, so we really go through the book this way. But there's just too much good stuff in there that I love to share. So how are we doing? Oh my God, time flies. Let me see. So we go to T1B, 41, 41U. That's a lot of referencing that I will have to do. It's on page 22 for the book owners. Yeah, 41U on page 22. In a situation where you or another person or both experience inappropriate sex impulses, know first that this is an expression of fear. Your love toward each other is not perfect, and this is why the fear arose. Turn immediately to me by denying the power of fear and ask me to help you to replace it with love. This shifts the sexual impulse immediately into a miracle impulse and places it at my disposal. So this is really essential, like incredible to read. Then acknowledge the true creative worth of both yourself and the other. This places strength where it belongs. Note that sexual fantasies are always destructive or depleting in that they perceive another in an inappropriate creative role. Both people are perceived essentially as objects, fulfilling their own pleasure drives. This dehumanized view is the source of the depleting use of sex. Freud's description is purely negative, that is, as a release from the unpleasant. He also observed that the tension from ID impulses never completely abates. What he should have said is that the shift from miracle impulses to sexual impulses was debilitating in the first place because of the level confusion involved. This sets up a state in which real release was impossible. Note also that Freud's notion of sex was as a device for inducing relaxation, which he confused with peace. Okay, so now we go to C, and it is number C12. It's on page 24. Generally, two types of emotional disturbances result. The tendency to remain, the tendency to remain the illusion that only the physical is real. This produces depression. The tendency to invest the physical with non-physical properties. This is essentially magic that tends more towards anxiety proneness. The tendency to vacillate from one to the other and produces a corresponding vacillation between depression and anxiety. So there are two types of emotional disturbances. One is that the illusion that only physical is real, and the other one is that physical has also non-physical properties. And the other one is then the confusion between them. So this, I read this just because it has everything to do with one another. And that's why I have to that's why I have to bring this together here. See, the ego is involved in this say confusion of the miracle impulse with body impulses, with sexual impulses. And so they can shift really easy from one into the other. And so it has everything to do with your awareness. Like we read about the level where you actually see this physical reality as your true reality, that is your reality, and thinking that that's the only thing that there is for a moment, you're not able to see miracles. So and with this, then it is miracles are seen in light. So light and joy go very well together. It can only be experienced when you are experiencing light. So you will have to train your mind in that sense. You have to train your mind in coming to the place where you actually can perceive that, can come into an experience of light. And that is not, say it's not difficult. It is just, they just don't go together. So either you value this, the world that you see and think that is real, or you value, you undo, like you let go of your perception and see that there's light and love behind all of this. And say your true nature is just bringing you, asking you, inviting you to come to that place in order for you to come into your natural state of miracle mindedness. So that's why I love to share this with you, and also see that through the whole book, you actually see the same message. You see one teaching. It is a whole teaching. It is a teaching of your wholeness. So You get the support to come into miracle mindedness by doing the training, by reading the book, by letting yourself be guided in this whole procedure. And that is really amazing that that's given, because this is a total story for you. This is a total package that's being presented to you in your recognition of your true identity. And that's why it heals. Like, that's why it heals, because your true identity doesn't know about sickness. So now, the same as when we read about the ego and about the principles that are connected to the idea of physical ailment and healing, seeing that there's no sense in trying to figure out how to bring about a physical healing. There's no reason for you to pray to God to heal your physical ailment. No, everything has to do with your perception, literally with your vision of it. Is that Christ vision, you see it disappear. If that is your physical vision, so to speak, you use your eyes for it or your senses, it has nothing to do with that, and you will not be able to figure it out. That is a major confusion that is related to this, to the yeah the, you perceive a lack in yourself when you think that there's something going on like sickness, as if the body can become sick. No, the body is not able to do that at all. It has nothing to do with that. But you see, you cannot just say that to yourself and think that then the whole thing changes. No, this is just like the tip of the iceberg in terms of I have my reality built on something that is just not true, and that has nothing to do with light and love. So it needs to be undone. That's why one of the miracle principles is too, like, first purification is necessary. You will have to come into the internal shift, literally, that you start to come into what is true value. What can I let my own value system be undone, and come into more and more experiences in which I can actually feel the reality of the direct communication with everything that is. That is, it doesn't necessarily need a long time, but it is a total story. So it's either you believe in your physicality as being your reality or not. And when you let go of that, when you come into continuously letting that go, not making any of that real, not confirming that, and seeing that you're actually extending love to everyone you meet, and that your brother in that sense is also like of great importance, because he is going to reflect to you your true identity if you allow him to do so. So you will have to build, like, you have to learn to trust your brother, who is one with you. You'll have to start to trust him, to see that at work, to actually open yourself up, to come to the realization that he is giving you everything, and that there is no exception to that. Despite all the stories that you carry with you, in which you're going to prove that what I say is not right. That's why it's very confrontative in a certain sense, because you have to let go of your right. You have to let go of what you think really happened to you, and you have to let go of what your brother did to you. That's why this is a real course in self-forgiveness, like in a deep sense of forgiveness, by letting go of what you think has happened. That's why the healing occurs. And that's why you start to feel good when you practice that. Like, oh, I don't have to carry that anymore with me. That's gone. That dissolved. I'm so happy to hold hands with my brother in that sense, and see that we can love one another instead of attacking each other over the things that are already over. That what seemed to be happening in the past, and we were still using that to attack one another. So by letting go of that, it is really as it says too in the chorus, it's like you stand on holy ground where you forgive. That is really holy ground, you know, because you're actually deciding to this moment is the fullness of living. It has nothing to do with what happened before. It is complete, whole, and perfect. And I allow this moment to be whole and perfect. I allow my brother to be whole and perfect. I will not look I will not look with my, say, limited perception to my brother. No, I'm allowing myself to completely see the wholeness by letting go of myself, by letting go of my ideas about everything, by coming into the light of my mind, literally into my enlightenment to see that. So that is the offering in this. That is the offering that is being given to us in every moment. Yeah, in every moment you have a choice in that. Am I going to make my situation real? Am I going to make my perception of myself real, or am I going to let go of this and see that there's something completely different waiting for myself, and my opportunity to see like heavenly reflections in my brother given to me in this instant. All right. Well, I would love to end this with a prayer, and the prayers also in the prayers also in the lessons later on, the miracle prayers, and one is lesson 338 that I would love to give to you in this moment. So I understand that we're not able to read today together, but I hope you will pick up the book and read the last part, like 1C, section C, by yourself. And we're going to continue this anyway. So you might as well come to the miracle work classes, because we didn't finish this whatsoever. So I cordially invite you to come to the miracle work 1 or 2 or both. You're invited. I have special VIP treatment for you. So 338. So that's very specific, isn't it? Okay, here it is. This is our miracle prayer. I am affected only by my thoughts. I need but this to let salvation come to all the world. For in this single thought is everyone released at last from fear. Now he has learned that no one frightens him and nothing can endanger him. He has no enemies and he is safe from all external things. His thoughts can frighten him, but since these thoughts belong to him alone, he has the power to change them and exchange each fear thought for a happy thought of love. He crucified himself, yet God has planned that his beloved Son will be redeemed. Your plan is sure, Father, only yours. All other plans will fail, and I will have thoughts that will frighten me until I learn that you have given me the only thought which leads me to salvation. Mine alone will fail and lead me nowhere, but the thought you gave me promises to lead me home because it holds your promise to your Son. I am affected only by my thoughts. All right. Well, thank you so much for bearing with me today in this quite interesting class. Like we went through the book. We touched some of the subjects, and I love to go further with that because it's we're not at the end of it whatsoever. So it's a real. I'm really happy that you joined with me today, and I hope to see you on Wednesday in the continuation of this class. So see you soon, and thank you for everything. Thank you so much.